Hi friends, Team Nursing Extra Mileage welcomes you in another system, that is cardiovascular system. As this is a vast system, so we will study this system dividing in several parts. So starting in the part 1. So what is cardiovascular system? Means what is the meaning of it? So cardio means heart and blood vessels. Vascular means blood vessels. So cardiovascular, heart and blood vessels. There is another constituents that is called blood, which remains inside these blood vessels, but we will study blood in different chapter, that is called blood and lymphatics. So in this chapter we will concentrate mainly on the heart and blood vessels, cardiovascular system. So what is the action of it? It is responsible for circulation of blood throughout the body. So circulation of blood is the function of the cardiovascular system. Here the heart acts as a pump. Heart acts as a pump and it circulates blood throughout the body. So how the blood is getting circulated in the body? It is getting circulated by the heart. Now how the circulation occurs throughout the body? So heart pumps the blood, it sends oxygenated blood via the artery, then via the small artery called arterioles. There is a net like things between artery and vein, that is called capillaries. Blood reaches the cell, and in the cell, here in between cell is present, cell. In the cell, carbon dioxide is getting produced, CO2. It is getting produced by the metabolism. So carbon dioxide containing blood comes via venules, then major veins, and then back to heart. So oxygenated blood getting entered in the via the artery. This is artery, and from the heart oxygenated blood comes up to the cell via this pathway, and from the every cell of the body carbon dioxide getting produced, and it comes back again in the heart via this system. Now coming to the systemic and pulmonary circulation. So there is two major circulations in the body, systemic and pulmonary circulation. So the interrelation between systemic and pulmonary circulation we will study in this picture. So suppose this is heart and these are the two lungs. This is heart. So as the name suggests, pulmonary circulation means via the lungs, LU lungs, and this is systemic circulation which occurs via the heart. So how they are interrelated, how these circulations are interrelated. So as I have told in the previous slide that every cell in the body produces carbon dioxide containing blood. Now look at this arrow, carbon dioxide containing blood, which is depicted in the color of blue. So carbon dioxide containing blood from the cell, it is coming to the heart, and via the heart, that is more specifically from the right ventricle, this is right ventricle, it is going to the lungs. Here oxygen comes which we breathe, and here oxygenation of the blood occurs, that is carbon dioxide getting washed away from the blood vessels and oxygen gets entered in the blood vessel. This blood, here the exchange have already occurs, this oxygenated blood which is shown in the red color, it comes specifically in the left atrium and then left ventricle, and then this blood via the major aorta spread throughout the body in each and every cell of the body. So this is how this pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation are interrelated. Hope you all have understood. So coming to the major organ called heart, we have to study heart in detail. So the basic anatomy of the heart, that is, it is having 4 chambers. 4 chambers. Kindly see the picture I am marking here. 4 chambers are left atrium, right atrium, then right ventricle and left ventricle. So this is the 4 chamber of the heart. You have to remember, and you have to remember the spelling also. Then interatrial septum. In between the right atrium and left atrium there is interatrial septum. You see, it divides the 2 atrium. Then interventricular septum. In between the right and left ventricle there is interventricular septum, which divides the 2 ventricles. Then 4 main valves. You all have listened the name of valves in the heart. Many patients get their heart valve changed. So which are all 4 main valves? Kindly see the picture I am marking here. In between the left atrium and left ventricle there is mitral valve. This is mitral valve, and as it is having 2 cusps, it is also called bicuspid valve. In between the right atrium and right ventricle there is tricuspid valve. This is tricuspid valve. Then in between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery there is pulmonary valve. This is pulmonary valve, which prevents the blood going from right ventricle up to the lungs. Then in between the left atrium and left ventricle this is aortic valve, which prevents blood growing from the left ventricle up to the aorta. So these valves are the gateway. They remains in between these major structures. When these valves open, blood comes via their directions. Now SVC and IVC, the full forms are superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. As the name suggests, vena cava, so they are veins and they are bringing blood. Superior vena cava bringing carbon dioxide, that is deoxygenated blood, from the upper part of the body, head, neck. This blood is coming to the heart via the superior vena cava. As the name suggests, inferior vena cava, they are bringing deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body to the heart. So lower part of the body sends their blood to the heart via the inferior vena cava. Then pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins. As we have already seen, from right ventricle blood goes via this pulmonary valve up to the pulmonary artery. Remember one thing clearly, this is the only artery, pulmonary artery in the body. Name is artery, but it contains or it brings deoxygenated, that is carbon dioxide containing blood, up to the lungs. So maybe its name is artery, but it brings CO2, that is carbon dioxide containing blood, up to the lungs from the heart. So this is pulmonary artery, which brings blood from the right ventricle. And pulmonary veins, these are pulmonary veins. This is the only vein in the body which brings oxygen containing blood from the lungs up to left atrium. So this is the only artery and this is the only vein which does opposite action against all the arteries and veins in the body. Then aorta, as we have already seen, this is aorta, and This originates from the left ventricle, which sends oxygenated blood throughout the body. Heart is having three layers of tissues, that is, this is the layers of the heart. The outer layer is called pericardium, middle layer is called myocardium, and inner layer is called endocardium. These are the three layers of the body. Then surfaces and borders of the heart. So first, sternocostal or anterior surface. Anterior surface is formed by the right ventricle and partly by the right atrium. Anterior means front surface, as we all know, and partly by the left ventricle and left auricle. Now coming to the diaphragmatic or inferior surface, this is inferior surface. So we can see that this is being formed by the both the ventricles, right ventricle and left ventricle. It is written here also that it is formed by the both the ventricles, mainly by the left one. So this is inferior surface. Then pulmonary or left surface is formed by the left ventricle. This is pulmonary or left surface. Now coming to the borders of the heart, right border by right atrium. So this is right border, mainly formed by the right atrium. This is inferior border, which is formed by the right ventricle and partly by the left ventricle. This is inferior border, and left border by the left ventricle and partly by the left auricle. So these are the surfaces and borders of the heart. Coming to the blood supply of the heart itself, means which arteries and which veins supplies the heart and keeps this heart tissue viable. So we have already studied there are three layers of the heart, that is called pericardium, myocardium and endocardium. So how they get blood supply? Heart itself is sending blood to the all out of the body, throughout of the body, and each and every cell is getting blood, each and every organ is getting blood because of the heart. But how heart get blood itself? Heart tissue get blood itself. So its arterial supply is made by the right coronary artery and left coronary artery. So this is right coronary artery and this is left coronary artery. They are the major arterial supply, that is oxygenated blood is coming via them to the heart tissue. So it is having many branches, this right coronary artery, like right conus artery, right anterior ventricular branches, right atrial branches, sinoatrial artery, right posterior or ventricular branches and posterior interventricular branch. These are for the theoretical purpose. Left coronary artery is wider, it is wider, left coronary artery, and larger than the right coronary artery. It is having branches like anterior interventricular artery and circumflex artery. So this is circumflex artery and many branches are there which supplies throughout the heart tissue. Venous drainage of the heart are drained by veins that ultimately empty into the coronary sinus. So this is the venous drainage of the heart, that is deoxygenated blood is coming via the coronary sinus. Coming to the nerve supply of the heart, so like each visceral organ, they must have parasympathetic supply and sympathetic supply. So the sympathetic supply are coming from the T1 to T4 segments of the spinal cord. This is spinal cord, and T1 to T4 segments of the spinal cord supplies. And what is the action of sympathetic supply on the heart? It increases the heart rate. Remember these things, very important for your pharmacological point of view. The sympathetic supply increases in heart rate, increases in cardiac output and vasodilatation of the coronary artery. Now parasympathetic supply. Parasympathetic supply is mainly from the structures of the brain. It coming mainly from the nucleus ambiguous and dorsal nucleus of the vagus. So what is the action? It leads to decrease in heart rate, decrease in coronary blood flow. So, this is the nerve supply of the heart. Thank you friends. Hope we all have understood the anatomy and main supplies of the heart. If in the next lecture we will study the electrocardiogram, that is in second part of the cardiovascular system. So, wait for the next lecture. If you are liking our lecture, kindly do like, comment and subscribe our channel Nursing Extra Mileage. Thank you friends.